Hello, this is Phyllis Wilson coming to you for my daily motivational moment or my daily minute to tell you about hibernation. The technical definition of hibernation is when something is asleep or it's in slumber in a deep rest or deep sleep, if you will. At any rate, hibernation is something that is allowing you to stay stagnant. And for some of us, our hibernation has been pursuing things like getting a higher education, a degree. It has been taking the time out to look at ourselves and where we can improve ourselves. We are so quick sometimes to think about how we can improve other people or see faults or dysfunctions in other people. But sometimes did it ever occur to you that those same things you see about them is really a reflection of you, and that's why you can identify them so well? Because you've allowed that in you to be in hibernation, but you're recognizing it in someone else. Huh. I think I said something for those who are listening clearly. So sometimes your hibernation could be the very thing that is in you that you have allowed to stay in a deep slumber or sleep or disguised it, but you recognize it so easily in someone else. So let's think about those things that we have allowed to stay in hibernation. Or maybe it has been that you've been through a traumatic experience in your life and you have allowed it to hibernate so that you won't have to deal with it. Some people even will say hibernation is I allowed it to be deeply depressed or suppressed so that it's covered up. I forgot all about it. It slipped my mind. Why? Because we've allowed it to be in hibernation so that we didn't have to face it or we didn't have to deal with it or we didn't have to get therapy for it, which therapy is not a bad thing for those that need it. It just helps us enhance and improve who we are and what our understanding is about certain things that has taken place with us and around us. Sometimes some things that has happened in our families, we have allowed it to go in hibernation because we don't want to face dealing with it and figuring out how to fix it, how to improve it, if not for everybody else, but for ourselves. So then that leads me to my next topic of what I'm going to talk about tomorrow's DM, which is self-love. But for right now, let's just deal with hibernation. And hibernation, again, are things that we have allowed ourselves to suppress, to cover up, to go into a deep hiatus, if you will, so that we don't have to deal with it or we don't want to recognize it or even acknowledge that it exists with us. So we have portrayed it to be something that's non existent by putting it in hibernation. Some of us have some ideas about books or ideas about classes we want to do, create, design, and even implement workshops, conferences, seminars, businesses, inventions, and we have allowed it to be in hibernation so that we don't have to deal with it. Well, pull it out of hibernation, deal with it, become a better you, and bless or enhance somebody else's life because you've now done something with the very things that you have in hibernation. So even if you've dealt with domestic abuse or if you've dealt with sexual indiscretions or and that includes rape or any of those things that have maybe been a traumatic experience for you and you've allowed it to go into hibernation, pull it out of hibernation. Deal with it because you have no idea the very next time you come across somebody, you can help them to deal with it themselves and become a better them. So you're doing yourself and the other person an injustice by you letting those things stay in hibernation. So wake it up. It's been hibernating long enough. Deal with it and move forward.